Whenever you're ready, Mr. President.
Okay.
Good evening. This is the work session, Northfield City Council, March 22nd of 2022. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, in the Press of Atlantic City on January 8th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Council President Pro Tem DeWeese, please?
All rise. Salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Roll call. Mrs. Bucci? Here. Mr. DeWeese?
Here.
Mr. Leeds?
Here.
Mr. Notaro?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Utz?
Here.
Mr. Palestina?
Here.
Mr. Chow? Mr. President.
Thank you. I'll move right in to our committee reports. Councilman DeWeese.
Couple things. First Street Playground, I got a report that the slide was damaged. Windows on top of it's already contacted the company to get a new replacement slide for it. So right now it's blocked off, so you can't use it. We're still working on the columns at the front of City Hall here. I'm having a hard time finding contractors that want to do the work. So I'll continue my search for that and I'll report back next meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Did they know what happened to the slide? Is it vandalism or?
It's hard to say, but it's a pretty good chunk taken out of it. So it's a
Okay,
pretty good chance that something heavy was dropped on it.
thank you.
Still newer than the Birch Grove Park ones. But fortunately, we still have contact with the company and they're still in business. So hopefully we get a replacement part.
Councilman Utz.
Well, I had the opportunity to attend my first maintenance school board meeting, as their meetings often split with our. Knows. It was an interesting meeting. I think Ms. Ozerkis was a nice meeting. Craig Denzola was there, as well as some other residents. They're concerned about gender sharing of bathrooms, and also some of the critical race theory and curricula. That seems to be a hot topic. The school board did not offer any opinion one way or the other, but it seems to be a topic that's heating up.
Yeah.
In high school, if you have residents today.
I will say that my daughter has reported to me that she's been in the bathroom with boys at Mayland, so it's not good.
The veterans, as you know, we are going to do the Purple Heart Way. That will be on the 21st of May now at 11 o'clock. It's been changed a couple of times today. And it looks like it'll be a nice ceremony. Shouldn't last more than an hour. And it looks like it's going to be a really nice event. Planning board wise, there was a continuance on the Northfield Avenue property where they're looking to build the office professional building in a residential zone. So we'll keep you posted on the outcome of next planning board meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Notaro.
Nothing other than I'd just like to thank Paul for stepping up and handling the Purple Heart Way project with me. We finally got it off the ground, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a nice day. Also, Eric and Caroline, or Carolyn. Sorry, Caroline. They went to the fan meeting in my place, and I thank them for that as well.
Sure. Dan, they.
Thank you. Councilman Leeds.
As Councilman Dan just said, I put in front of the fan meeting with Caroline over there. And their girls team basketball and the two boys teams that they won the championships. So I'd asked the winner to grab a proclamation for them. Apparently had a very good season. And something carrying on with the football and the basketball teams. They won all their divisions, all their champions this year, which is really impressive. From emergency management standpoint, emergency management is the lead agency in an active shooter tabletop exercise at the school. The turnout was incredible. We had law enforcement from just about everywhere in the county there. The fire department had representatives, EMS had representatives there. The tabletop exercise is a precursor to the real live exercise. And I think last I heard was going to do it in the winter. I'm not sure the exact date yet, but it was very successful. A lot of the community businesses donated refreshments to all the attendees, which I didn't expect. And they were very nice of them to do that. Speaking of, I want to talk about the fire department real quick. I got a letter from Captain Nixon. He responded to an EMS call. I don't know what time of day it was, but he responded to an EMS call on March 11th. And he met with Inspira that were on the scene there. And he wrote a letter to Inspira, basically congratulating or offering praise to the crew that was there. It was an elderly gentleman that was injured, and let's just say he needed some extra special care to help him with some things that most people find a little difficult to deal with, and the crew went above and beyond on their way to not only assure him that everything was going to be okay, but to go a step further and provide services to a human being in their time of need that is not within the realm of emergency medical services. So Captain Nixon wanted to inspire their management to know how well that was perceived, and I want to thank the captain for going out of his way to respond to medical calls when he's working.
Yes, thank you for doing that, and thank you for taking the time to reach out to them and let them know when they're doing something right.
Yeah.
That's always helpful.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Northfield Community School, the meeting was pushed back a week. I went there last night and there was no meeting. And it's next Monday night. So if you need to go to the, if you want to attend the Northfield Community School meeting, Board of Education meeting, it's next Monday night at 7 p.m. I will be there. Well, I have a softball game, hopefully after my softball game, but so Little League and Babe Ruth, we've talked about that. We all know about the opening day, April 9th. So I just want to kind of reemphasize that they're having the opening day ceremony. We're all invited, and it's going to be quite a busy day with all the other activities going on, but they're looking forward to, I know they've had clinics and they've had their practices and the kids are excited. It's been pretty nice. So looking forward to opening day there on April 9th. And I did want to comment on a couple of things related to mainland, since I have a few connections there. Really in celebration, I went to, we took our family to the play that they put on, Shrek, the musical, this past week, which was excellent, very well done. So I want to commend the drama department and all of those who are part of that. It was very entertaining and very professional. So they did a great job with that. And I also wanted to recognize the mainland girls basketball team who won a South Jersey Group 3 championship and made it all the way to the state Group 3 final, where they were unsuccessful, but it's an outstanding and historic season. And we do have a few Northfield girls who are a member of that program. So I wanted to give my congratulations to the mainland girls basketball team for their outstanding season. The boys, not to belittle the boys, they both of them won the Cape Atlantic tournament, which is the first time the same high school has won the boys and girls in the same year for the Cape Atlantic League Conference tournament, which was an outstanding achievement as well for the boys and the girls. So again, Northfield residents on both of those squads, so we're very proud of them. And that's
Yeah,
all I have.
nice following them in the paper.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Nice to watch. Councilwoman Bucci.
Okay, I have nothing to report for insurance and safety. With regards to the Municipal Alliance, this Saturday, March 26th is Coffee with a Cop at Good Shepherd. I believe it's from 12 to 2. And then as far as the library is concerned, attendance is going up a little bit. Aubrey's doing a lot of nice programs over there. She started to work on the summer reading program. She's reached out to the community to get some sponsors because they offer different awards for different things that you do, like if you read a book or whatever they have with regards to that. They did have somebody present some more information on this New Jersey Connect with the iPad program. It's American Resource Grant from the New Jersey Library Association. The library is getting 5 iPads. They're arriving on March 11th, 2022. The library will actually be able to keep them after the program is up. The program runs through September 30th. They can use them for health information, for televisits with their doctors, for job interviews. But the library still has to approve it officially and set some parameters on what's going to happen with that. Other than that, they adopted their strategic plan, which is their goals and objectives, excuse me, for the library. And it's their metrics for them to determine how they're doing every year at the end of the year. And then they also adopted a cash management plan. And that's about it for the library.
Thank you. On the senior committee, I've discussed getting things started back up again. I've talked to one of the people that coordinates, Ms. LaCourd, and hopefully we can get things started now. One of the things, as you said, with the library coming back online, if you will, that's one of the places where they met. So hopefully we can get the group together. They're looking at dates now to try to figure out what works. And then also they'll discuss potential joining the other group that rents the at the hall at St. Gianna's, because some of the people in that group are in both. So they might be interested in doing that, but it's going to be a discussion with them to see how they want to go forward. One of the suggestions the mayor had. On finance, we have the first run through of the introduction tonight on the resolution for the budget. There's no public input tonight, but we're flat again this year, and while their spending has gone up, some of that is related to the federal funds that came in due to the pandemic. And we spent, and consciously we went forward and decided that, as we all know, we met and we discussed these one-time projects that aren't going to have ongoing expenses for the city. So, and if we hadn't spent that money, then we would have just given it back to the federal government. And I think it's better used here than out of DC, for sure. And that's all I have. Any questions on that? On the work session going forward, I think did you have any updates from?
Yes,
I think you did. Finally heard back from someone.
What happened a couple of weeks ago, or 10 days ago, I got a call from she's from the she was brought to her attention that there's a branch farm in Northfield and time. I explained to her the five sides and it caused a problem for us. So and I told her I wasn't able to get back from the DOT response. He said, once you send an email, copy me on the email so that and she will send an email. Then 2 hours later, I get an email from Mr. Khan because we're still waiting for the plan. They want us now to get a permit to do the work from the DOT. So it's a DOT street, DOT permit. They want the city to apply for a permit to change the pipe to what it was before. Basically, because of 15 or 12-inch pipe, somebody put in a 6-inch pipe inside, so part of the, kind of holds the water back on the street. I don't agree with it. We have to go to the permit from them. So I'm thinking maybe an email saying, at this point, we are not interested in following through this. We would rather you take the water first because portion of street line comes over there.
All right.
So they cost 50% of the problem. So, and they changed the pipe size. When they didn't change the pipe size, they didn't have a problem. At one point, they changed the pipe size. So now they want us to do plans for us to do, so it becomes more expensive than just go ahead and
Mhm.
They're making us go through all these steps to do it.
But we still haven't been able to find his fingerprints are on that 6-inch pipe.
They claim they can do it, or public water will not do that because it's in their state.
Yeah.
highway. And there's no evidence this work has been tampered with. So somebody just went in, put a pipe in. Maybe the pipe was collapsed or some issue with the existing pipe, so they decided to put a plastic pipe inside.
Inside the existing pipe.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
sleeved it.
Yeah, the pipe is big.
and They
And
sleeved
when
it.
you look in the manhole, there's cement and there's a pipe this big comes in. So everything gets lost on those, and nobody comes out.
Wow.
And that, you know, when been to the department for 45 years, they never touch.
No,
They would never do that kind of work. I don't think. they would.
that's crazy.
So,
And we don't even know when it happened.
no. But the problem started happening about 3-4 years ago.
So now we're just in a gridlock with the state.
Right. This is the way they wanted it. I mean, we have to do it construction kind of. Put it out to bid.
How many feet is it?
15 feet. It's- The maintenance department can fix it, but I think the maintenance department will. do it.
Yeah.
Because there is no evidence anybody opened it up.
Yeah, I mean, just the engineering and everything off on the plans, it's
No,
gonna
not
be,
the engineering, it's just management.
that's what I mean, the plans and all, yeah,
Go out. and
for a
try to make-
15-foot piece of pipe.
Yeah, and but then the local work with the state, and try to come up with their agreement.
Uh, I-
But now, I'm saying, Greg, I need your help, you know. I'm happy about myself.
You got any input, Rick?
I don't even know where to begin. I honestly don't. Are they doing any other drainage work in that area?
No, but they're gonna
Okay.
redo the whole street in about 5 years.
Okay.
And they showed on their plan that there's a problem. Their road, about 250 feet, coming through.
And we just keep bothering them until they,
I was thinking, I was gonna send an email saying, at this point, we don't have the funds to go through this process.
Yeah.
We would rather the state handle their own water, take it to ours. You know that they come in down, Banning Alley, they go all the way down and they dump their water down into the creek, so that's the management, that's. All the water goes down,
Yeah, they tie into different systems, yeah.
but it goes all the way down, you can see the big household coming out at the end of Banning, Birch.
Correct.
They run their water comes from us, not, they don't do any management.
Yeah.
Somebody decided to do something that anybody didn't know.
I think we should dig in and I think we should fire an email and say, you know, we can't do it at this time and see where it goes, kick the can down the street a little bit because clearly they need to do something
we
about
can
it.
just keep
But
bothering them.
where that 6-inch pipe is,
State highway.
which way, so is backing the water up to come back down,
Northfield.
is come back to Northfield Avenue and then down Banning? Where would it go if that pipe was, do we know where that would go if that pipe was
Yeah,
not?
if that pipe is large enough, the water will back up onto that. The water will come down to their system, comes down Banning.
That's where, okay, so that's the one that's going to go to Banning, okay.
It backs up onto that
The
property.
original
Yeah.
pipe, is that, did you know that that original pipe is bad, it's inside?
I don't know, if you remember when they opened it, you can see there's a pipe.
Yeah.
And somebody put that 6-inch flex pipe.
And
out,
then they concreted
cemented
around
it.
it, and that concrete only goes in so far.
Exactly,
So
I don't know.
maybe that inside pipe isn't bad, maybe if you just break out those sides and,
But you have to look at the road.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did.
is there two sides?
Yeah,
Can
one
you
is our side and their side, so
And-
I'm gonna talk right to Quincy and at least tomorrow, see the jet from our side. Without going to the state highway and see what we are, I think that's.
Is there access to the other side on the state highway side?
Yeah,
There's manhole, so there's manhole you can get,
manhole and then that, yeah.
but you can't access their manhole without their permit.
If I want to, I can get the police and emergency open for like 15 minutes, I don't need a permit. If I stop traffic for less than 30 minutes, I can get the 2 police officers to just stop the traffic for like 2 minutes, so we open and see.
Mhm. I wonder if there's a way you could expect the original pipe.
I can, I'll talk to Clint and we'll go out there. Just get the officers to help us out. We'll get the measurement. See what happens.
If the original pipe is okay, then
It looks at least 12 inches.
yeah.
And believe it or not, 26 and 12 inches.
Did you see it
Sleeve
from there?
that? Could you sleeve that?
If that's the case, we'll be sleeping.
Yeah, without opening the road.
We could do that.
Maybe flood down.
Do you need, what do you need in order to go forward with that?
I would like to send the email tomorrow, say this on the council meeting, council is in no position to spend the money at this point. We'd rather you handle your own orders to relieve the problem.
Okay, yeah, is there anyone else, does anybody disagree with that?
No.
Or any other input? Okay, thank you. While you have the floor, is there anything on the stormwater?
Outline everything, I still need to look at, sorry, a couple more so you can see here in structures, into the line.
Okay.
They have line, they will- whatever we care, that will be fine.
Okay. Anything,
No updates.
no updates, it's just still,
Same.
still waiting,
Yeah.
okay. On that, the property auction, that is still pending also, I know. Mrs. Canisi met on the phone with someone, but she keeps having injuries and she's not available right now. Is that,
I believe there's going to be presence by the firm at the meeting on April 12th.
okay. Okay. The new business, I guess there is one grant that you had mentioned.
Yes, it's a grant. It's a small grant, but that grant we can use for the park to do handicap accessible path. So basically, I can do a couple parking spots into the area we want to upgrade and do the path as the table. So we'll clarify that as the little barrier for handicap accessible.
Okay. That's in conjunction with the picnic area.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I might be able to borrow from next year funds, so we can get about 70,000 that will help.
We're doing, there's plans to do other projects out there, so we can tie those in. The other item on here, there's, actually, I think it's in tonight's agenda. OEM has put in a grant, is putting in a grant application. It's attached here. It's Resolution 89-2022. So Tim Jew is going to fill that out and move forward with that. So,
Well, President, I have something I'd like to broach with council's new business, related to old business.
there you go.
You know, having just gone through budget season and hearing about the First Street Playground slide and the old playground equipment there, and, you know, we all want to improve the infrastructure in our city without burdening the taxpayer. We don't have parking meters, we don't have beach badges. What we do have is an opportunity for campus revenue. Now, in speaking with this with Dave, one of his recommendations, let's put it to the voter. I don't know what it entails to put a municipal ballot question forward. But I think that, you know, this industry is really heating up. There's an opportunity for not large amounts of revenue, but revenue that could pay for things like new playground equipment or a basketball court or improvements along the bike path, things that without burdening the taxpayer. So I would like to get council's temperature on putting forward a ballot initiative to ask the residents if they think that using the west end of Tilton Road for some economic development and revenue for the city, if that would be something that council would be okay with.
Well, I see what it entails in order to get something like that together. I think anybody can do that. So
Could even get a petition signed. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I have no idea the process.
I believe that is part of the
Yeah, I guess
process.
you'd have to figure out the
May we
process.
ask?
Ms. Canisi, do you?
Do you?
You as the governing body can vote to put it on the ballot as a question.
Okay.
Very-
Yes.
What is the?
without a petition.
What's the process?
That's petition is if taxpayers do it directly.
Okay.
Is it just, is it a lot of, what, what does it entail? Just writing the question and?
There's no fee from the county
Mm-hmm.
to add a public question. It just goes on the general ballot. The fee is in crafting the question appropriately, and then there's always an explanatory statement.
Okay.
So you would want to make sure that you are putting sufficient information in the public question so that people understand what they're voting on. That's really the cost.
So that's the cost. So Chris would be the cost on that.
Cannabis drawer upper.
The call. What do you think, like 50
well-
bucks or something?
Well, I don't mind crafting a valid question, but I want council's temperature on whether this
So-
is something worth pursuing.
The question would be, the question,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear, what were you proposing?
A ballot question on whether to allow retail cannabis on the west end of
Oh, okay.
Tilton Road. Let the voters decide.
well,
You're
yeah, I
not
guess,
voting on the,
no, let the voters
Let the
decide.
You're voting
Well,
on letting the voters decide.
I guess in our discuss, in
It's gonna
our,
be a non-binding,
it's a non-binding, yeah.
Public question. Summers Point, I think, is doing the exact, well, they're polling in some way, polling their residents to see if this is something the residents want. And I think that's fair, to see if this is something that our residents would accept. And if it's overwhelming, if it's no, that's fine with me. But again, standing behind the line of bootleggers the other day and watching the cash register ring and think, boy, it'd be nice if Northfield got 2% of all these sales. It just seems like a missed opportunity for a way to improve the city without burdening the taxpayer.
Fair enough.
well, and that said, the question then begs the question, so then as a council, we discussed it a few times last year. And if it goes to referendum and it's right now that on the table or what has passed is 70% voter approval
Yeah,
statewide and citywide. And if it's shy of 70% in the city, is that something that council wishes to,
Well,
what, as a council, I mean, so we went through this year, the majority of us would still be on council. By the time we would have a chance to implement anything, at least the majority, we don't know who's going to be. I wasn't kicking you out, Paul.
One way or the other,
You're
it's
just,
probably the end of
your
the-
term is just up, that's all. There's no guarantees. Definitely was not kicking you out, Paul, please. Don't look at me like that. No, all I was saying is we don't know who's going to be here. That said, if it's a 51 to 49%, is that something council's going to say, okay, well,
Council
let's go.
They can
Well-
debate that at that time.
yeah,
Okay.
It's that
that can
close
be
and
their,
that narrow, then perhaps. the
Well, I
answer-
guess it begs a different discussion at that time.
It's-
Okay. I don't see, other than that, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it gives the voters a chance to
just,
express explicitly what they intend with this new law.
and privately.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Private.
Yeah. Yeah, then they don't, yeah,
Then there's no,
there
I
you
mean, I
go.
did my own polling when this, well, and.
Right,
it's
but
50-50.
privately, it may be a different, yeah,
Yeah,
and the answer
privately,
may
it
be,
might be different.
who knows?
Yeah.
And then that'll tell us the answer to the question. The original opposition to it, well, one of the oppositions was, it was 70%, but people voted 70%
to legal,
for it to be legal, not necessarily have it in our
That's
town.
correct.
which,
So that'll answer that question for us.
and you can argue that, I mean, but,
Well,
yeah, sure.
and hey,
Listen, I know,
if we
I-
put it
I-
together and it
yeah.
makes it to, as a question on the ballot, I hope that we get more people to come out and vote and we get to see truly what everybody wants.
The will of the taxpayer.
Yeah.
So the rest of council is, can we do a?
I don't have any opposition to putting a question.
No opposition.
Is there anybody opposed to letting Paul start the ball rolling on drafting a question?
My only issue is, like I told you privately, New Jersey still has not, for whatever reason, they left this law. We never took it away from the drug-free zones. So everywhere on that section of Tilton Road is within 1,000 feet of the drug-free zone.
Right.
We have to make sure that we allow people to do this. We can't tell, oh, by the way, now you can't do business. I'm all for the voters voting for it though.
Okay, Well, that's one of the hurdles that we'll need to have is that's a big,
Yeah.
well, I mean, obviously, they were a little hasty in their approvals because they still haven't issued a license yet
Well,
to anybody.
That's how they pass bills. They just throw it up, fix the problems as they come.
Make sure that we cover all our bases.
Yeah, if we move forward, I'd love to see that.
Oh, I can't do that, sure. So.
Thank you. Yeah, please take the lead on that. And,
You're going to ask everybody or just going to?
no, I am not. I am. I said, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I respect the process, but I'm a no.
Okay.
I've
Councilman Smith?
been consistently against it, so I will remain consistently against it.
And against the vote for it as well. Okay.
I think the people need to decide. As much as I'm against it morally, I do believe it's the taxpayer's right to make that decision. Because like I said, like when I argued about it before, that the 70% was to whether to legalize it. It wasn't whether to have a retail store. And this is the only way we're going to know what people want. So I'm a yes.
I mean, yes, I wouldn't deny that taxpayer.
Put it in, I'll give it right back to them. Yeah, I'll give it, put it in their hands. But again, one of the stipulations is, yeah, we need to clean up what we do and make sure it's.
Well, that's on their end. They have to clean up what they,
Well,
Those they
what we,
pass, yeah.
if we decide to move forward at that point,
then it would have to.
then
be-
we have to make sure that we're not infringing on other laws that are in place.
Even if the voters say yes,
Yeah.
it's not a done deal.
Well,
Right,
like I said, we discussed it a few times last year, so if it does, I'm sure it'll be discussed again.
There's a possibility that they may.
Thanks for bringing it up, Paul. I thought it was gonna be a quiet meeting.
I wanted one more nail in my crown.
There's a possibility that they may not change that law. And if that's the case, then where would we put it? Would we have to push?
I guess we'll wait and see.
Township.
Let's wait and see what this
line?
comes out
On the
with.
north side until we're at that point.
I guess we'd have to look and see where,
Let's see where it is.
yeah,
That's further down there.
we'll have to, let's worry about that bridge
Yeah, right.
when we cross it. First, let's see if there's even any, if the
Support.
voters wish, if there's any wishes from our constituents that want to have it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. If everybody could, please refer to your agendas. One thing that we need to do is, before we do that, in the consent agenda, there's, I passed out a resolution to everyone, resolution 90-2022, which is not on the agenda.
90?
That was that single sheet of paper that I handed out. I have another one.
I gave him one. You can't have two.
In any event, in order to get this on the agenda, it's a refund for someone that overpaid their taxes and it just got missed out of this agenda. So we want to get it back to the taxpayer as soon as possible. Could I have a motion to add that to the agenda and a second?
Second. Pick one.
Okay. Second by Councilman DeWeese, first by Councilman Leeds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that'll be added to the consent agenda. Resolution 90-2022. Approval of the minutes, Councilman DeWeese, Councilman Utz.
Council President, I'll certainly make the motion, but I'm going to abstain because I was on at the last meeting.
Thank you.
Who's the second?
Councilman Utz.
Thank you.
Resolution 84A, Councilman Smith, Councilman Notaro. Consent agenda. Is there anything in the consent agenda that anyone would like removed? Okay, then consent agenda 85 through 90. Councilwoman Bucci, Councilman Leeds. Ordinance 5. Councilman Notaro, Councilman DeWeese. Ordinance 6, Councilman Leeds and Councilman Utz. Payment of the bills, Councilman Utz. And meeting notices, Councilwoman Bucci. Oh, payment of the bills a second. Thank you.
Yes.
Oops. Councilman Smith, please.
Who was first, please?
Councilman Utz.
Utz and Smith on that?
Yes.
Thank you. Meeting notices is Councilwoman Bucci.
Yes.
Thank you.
I had too much coffee. Was I reading too fast?
Procedurally, if Mr. Deweese is abstaining from the minutes, he should probably not motion it.
Okay. Councilman Farrell, could you do the minutes replacement? Okay, at this time, we'll open the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any subject, we ask you please state your name and address for the record and observe a 5-minute limit per speaker. Got the band back together.
My name is Barbara Madden, and I live at 403 Parker Lane. I don't know if you've addressed this yet, and if you have, thank you for involving my part. But if not, please. I'm requesting that the city of Northfield Council adopt a resolution stating that the citizens of the city of Northfield stand in solidarity with the sovereign nation of the people of the Ukraine in their horrific battle to protect their democracy from the Russian invasion of Vladimir Putin. Also, I want to recognize President Volodymyr Zelensky as a valiant hero and true defender of democracy for the Ukrainian people and the world.
Thank you. We have not yet, so thank you.
Hopefully that you will pass the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you, Mark.
Mellon, 2509 River Drive, Northfield. You talked about the library's new, we're calling it a reopening because the library has been kind of, nobody's going to the library for a while. Of course, that has a lot to do with the pandemic. But Aubrey just has a great lineup of events and things. I'm the president of the Friends of the Library, and we usually hold a tea party, usually in May, June, or July. We have 2 book sales a year where we have a book and bake sale, and our mayor can attest to our good baking goods that we sell. Aubrey, now I don't know if this comes from Aubrey herself and the board, and maybe you would know, or whether it comes from city council. Up until now, we're not supposed, or not allowed to serve any refreshments or sell any baked goods at our book sale. And sometimes we make more in our bake sales than we do in our book sales. So I was wondering if who is in charge of saying yes or no to, and plus all our bake sales are wrapped. They're not open to the air or anything for any COVID cases. And I was just wondering who makes that decision for yes or no for the book and bake sale and or a tea party or all the things that Aubrey has lined up. The Friends usually supply nice refreshments, which gives the event kind of a nicer feel. So
Trustees.
It would, the County Board of Health would,
I think the county-
you should consult them. I know they have very strict regulations on, like, for example, you can't bake stuff at home and sell it at the snack bar at Birch Grove during a football game. You go to football games everywhere where they have the crock pot of meatballs, that's not legal.
Right.
Because for inspection reasons, health reasons. So if the Board of Health condones what it is that you're doing, the trustees, it's their sole decision. So you check with the Board of Health.
Still on the board, aren't you? So could you look into that for me? Okay. All right, thank you. And one more thing. Someone had said something this week, plans about the park, things that are, going to be done out there. I'm a friend of Birch Park also, along with the library, and we love to have a fishing tournament. The young kids is usually from 5 to 15 years old, and they just have so much fun. brings the parents out and the kids, a little 5-year-old come up with a little Sunny, all excited, and we weigh it, and it doesn't really weigh anything on the scale. But I'll put my finger on the scale. Oh, joy.
You're a friend of fishermen too?
We do have a fishing tournament already in the works through the Municipal Alliance.
And also, our beautiful snack bar is empty. And I would just love to see it open. It could open just maybe for a few hours, because people that come to the park, they get thirsty, the little kids, mommy, can I have an ice cream? I would really like you to consider opening the snack bar. And if you have to, hire people, just part-time, so you don't have to pay them a lot. I don't know how that would work or what could fit into. the
Those
budget.
things have been discussed, and it may or may not be a reality, but, it's things that we're talking about. Along with the upgrades coming to the park. So we're trying to wait to get everything in line and get the upgrades in and do some things to bring people into the park. We're talking about having food truck rallies and things of that nature. So there are a lot of things being discussed.
Good.
So-
All right. Well, thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
One of the things that Councilman Deweese and we had discussed at our budget meetings is some of the picnic areas. So as those improvements happen, that should bring more about, hopefully. Hopefully it brings more people, it brings more activity, and then we can do more things.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I'd love to see some organization like FAN voluntarily staff the snack bar, or rent it for $1 a year, and they can use that as a fundraiser to help the sports program.
They did express interest in that. We had a conversation.
Again, we can look at that as we look to do other things there.
She's
Is there anyone
very
on
good at
Zoom?
planning events and things like that. and
There's several people, but I don't see anybody from, I don't know who's on fan, but Angela's not there.
She has.
I'm sorry, I meant for a public session.
Oh, there's 4 people. so
Anybody
far.
wishing to raise their hand to speak?
Do you want me to ask them now, or do you want?
Well, we're still, I think we're done. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak?
Weekends and hire part-time people.
Does anyone on Zoom wish to speak during the public comment portion of this meeting?
I just bag and stuff, drinks.
Okay, that would be a no.
Okay. Seeing no one, the public session is now closed. I have a motion to adjourn the work session.
To adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Why would you be opposed?
Somebody might be.
Thank you. A motion, please.
Councilman Utz and Councilman Deweese.
Thank you.
I think it's just, good job, I really do.
Good evening. This is the regular session of Northfield City Council, March 22nd of 2022. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, in the Press of Atlantic City on January 8th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On behalf of Mayor and City Council, we ask for repentance, grace, forgiveness, and reconciliation throughout Ukraine and Russia. Pray not only for the leaders of these countries, but for the people, that they will not have animosity between them, but be united in reconciliation. Ask that this would open doors of opportunities for the gospel. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you.
Roll call, Mrs. Fucci? Here. Mr. Deweese?
Here.
Mr. Leeds?
Here.
Mr. Notaro?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Rutz?
Here.
Mr. Palestina?
Here.
And Mr. Chow?
Here.
Mr. President?
Thank you.
May I have a motion for approval of minutes?
Yes, I'd like to make the necessary motion to move to dispense with the reading and approval of the minutes of March 8th, 2012 and March 10th, 2022, and March 10th of 2022. They have been distributed to council and are on file in the clerk's office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to abstain, please.
Thank you.
Noted.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Deweese, for purposes of clarification, you're abstaining only from the 8th, but not from the 10th. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
I have nothing to report tonight.
thank you.
Wow.
Engineers report.
New Jersey American Water Company, they're moving forward with the placement of the main and Long Harbor. They finished that, today they almost finished, Shepherd Circle West. So in about 3 more days, they will finish all the main improvements. And after they, energize the line, they get the water clean, they will start with the taps to all the residents. And, that should take about 5 weeks to get completed. Then let it settle about 60 days, then they're gonna come back and replace half of the roads, Old Harbor, all the way down to the cul-de-sac, Shepherd Drive West, and Shepherd Drive all the way to the park. So basically, all the streets between and Route 9, we're gonna get half of the state, perfectly with the American Water.
Thank you.
Okay, Rami, on Shepherd Circle West, we have a sinkhole by an inlet. The curb is, are you aware of that?
Yeah, it's next to the house, they get that is gonna get fixed because they're gonna put the water line will be on that side. So
Perfect.
then, we do that, but the problem is the curb would be a little awkward because it's settled, but at least the paving would put the water,
Is there
water
an issue with the pipe underground?
I didn't see anything, so I don't know why it's that.
Okay,
But when they install the water meter, we'll see if they are, it's in that location or not.
because Quinn's guys have looked at that, so if you,
Yeah, I don't know.
all right,
Mr. President?
Yes,
I just wanted to just say thank you to Rami for, going above and beyond his duties with the city. And he's been instrumental with the Purple Heart Way and with Shannon and the path sign. So thank you very much for your help and your involvement with that.
thank you. Anything else? Okay. At this time, we'll open the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any subject, we ask that you please state your name and address and observe a 5-minute limit per speaker.
Does anyone in Zoom wish to speak during the public comment portion of this meeting? Please raise your hand. Nope.
Okay. Seeing no one, the public session is now closed. May I have a motion for resolution 84A? Introduction of the budget.
I'd like to make the necessary motion to introduce Resolution 84A-2022.
Second?
Hold, please.
Yep.
Resolution 84A of 2022 is the introduction of the 2022 municipal budget. There will be no public comment on the introduction of the budget, and the synopsis of the budget will be published in the Press of Atlantic City on March 26th. It is also presently posted on the municipal website. Anyone from the public who wishes to have a full copy of the budget can get one free of charge in my office anytime from introduction up until the time of the public hearing. And the public hearing itself will be held on April 26th, 2022, and the matter will be considered for final adoption at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Is there any questions from council?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
I support what we did with the budget. I'm happy that we came in at the 0%, which was our goal. I do want to clarify something I think was misconstrued in the discussions on our budget from the last meeting. So there's kind of one exception. I do support the budget, to be clear, but the The line that was discussed regarding the addition of a full-time fireman, fire person, was something I think I was misconstrued that I supported as long as there was no tax increase. And I wanted to be clear that I did not support that. I think the way it was introduced at the last minute without enough notice and kind of discussion on it, and given the fact that, you know, we kind of glossed over the history of negotiations that happened in the past, and the fact that we are ongoing, we are engaged in negotiations, at least discussions with Linwood regarding a shared service. I think that it's a little bit premature, I think, to do that based on what occurred in the past and concessions that were made in the past and discussions that were made in the past that I think maybe some members of the current council aren't familiar with. I think maybe need to be apprised of. But I just wanted to note that I wanted clarity on my position on that topic.
Thank you.
Just because it's approved doesn't mean we necessarily have to hire someone, correct?
Correct.
It's proof of funding. Any other comments? Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci,
Yes.
Mr. Deweese,
Yes.
Mr. Leeds,
Yes.
Mr. Notaro,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Utz,
Yes.
Mr. Palestina.
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of the 2022 municipal budget.
The consent agenda, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and having been reviewed by council will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certificate of availability of funds. Are there any items that anyone would like removed? Yes, and our solicitor will read, Mr. Fasano will read 90.
Resolution 90 of 2022 is authorizing a refund of overpayment of sewer fee. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Northfield, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, that a refund for overpaid sewer fees pursuant to the following is hereby authorized. The refund to Sean D. Wigglesworth, 34 Virginia Avenue, Northfield, New Jersey, 08225 for block 148, lot 19. Property address 34 Virginia Avenue. Refund amount and total refund amount is $180. Be it further resolved that the chief financial officer and other appropriate officials be and they are herewith authorized to sign the check to accomplish the refund authorized. I, Mary Knese, municipal clerk of the City of Northfield, do hereby certify the foregoing resolution was adopted at a regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Northfield held this 22nd day of March 2022.
Thank you. May I have a motion to vote by consent agenda?
Yes. I'd like to make the motion to move to vote by consent agenda for resolutions 85-2022 through 90-2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'd like to make the proper motion to adopt the consent agenda for resolutions 85-2022 through 90-2022.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci,
Yes.
Mr. Deweese,
Yes.
Mr. Leeds,
Yes.
Mr. Notaro.
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Utz,
Yes.
Mr. Palestina.
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of the consent agenda.
I have a motion for ordinance 5-2022.
Yes, I'd like to make the necessary motion to move to adopt ordinance 5/2022.
Second.
Ordinance 5 of 2022 is to be read by title only. It is an ordinance for adoption of the floodplain management regulations of the City of Northfield, amending City of Northfield Code of Ordinance to repeal Chapter 188 Flood Damage Prevention, to adopt a new Chapter 189 entitled Floodplain Management Regulations, to adopt flood hazard maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, and providing for severability and an effective date. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. This ordinance is presently posted in full on the municipal website as well as in the lobby of City Hall. Since introduction, any member of the public who asked for a copy would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk. And if approved this evening, it will be published in summary a final time in the Press of Atlantic City on March 26th.
At this time, we will open the public hearing on ordinance 5-2022. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on ordinance 5 and ordinance 5 alone may do so at this time.
It does not appear that anyone in Zoom wishes to comment.
Seeing no one, the public session for ordinance 5 is now closed. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 5 of 2022.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 6-2022?
I can make the, move to adopt ordinance 6, 2022 in its entirety.
Second?
Ordinance 6 of 2022 is also to be read by title only. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 215-36 of the City of Northfield Code of Ordinances entitled Floodplain Management. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. Since introduction, the ordinance has been posted in full on the municipal website as well as in the lobby of City Hall. Any member of the public who asked for a copy of the ordinance would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk. If approved this evening, it will be published a final time in the Press of Atlantic City on March 26th.
At this time, we'll open the public session on ordinance 6-2022 and ordinance 6-2022 alone. Anyone from the public wishing to speak?
It does not appear anyone in Zoom wishes to speak.
Okay. Seeing no one, the public session on ordinance 6 is now closed. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 6 of 2020.
May I have a motion for payment of bills?
I'd like to make the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $1,193,965.31.
Second.
Roll call, please. Are there any questions before roll call? Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Utz?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for payment of bills.
Meeting notices.
The next city council meeting will be held on April 12th, 2022, 6 PM work session, followed by the regular session immediately thereafter.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Seven out there.
Very nice.
All right. Caroline.
That's like,
Carolina.
Caroline.
Carolina.
Caroline.
all right, they don't, they call me Carol on phone.
Carol.